They wore red cloaks, bronze helmets, bronze breastplates, and bronze greaves to protect their lower legs. Spartans also carried an innovative shield called a hoplon. It was larger than most shields and curved outward. The hoplon allowed the Spartan warriors to line up in formation and push back against enemy lines while protecting their own men on either side. Other Spartan weapons included a 6 to 8 foot thrusting spear that had an iron shaft at one end and a bronze butt spike at the other, and a 2-foot-long, double-edged sword whose blade widened toward the tip. King Leonidas chose to meet Xerxes' invasion at Thermopylae for strategic reasons. The Persian forces greatly outnumbered the Greeks by as much as 50 to 1. But Thermopylae's narrow mountain path would only allow so many men through at one time. Leonidas' men probably wouldn't have to fight all the Persians at once. Xerxes didn't want to face the Spartans this soon. He planned to conquer Athens, then force those Greeks to fight on his side. Xerxes waited several days at Thermopylae, hoping the Spartans would leave. But the Spartans stayed, and Xerxes realized he had no choice but to fight them if he wanted to reach Athens. First, Xerxes ordered his archers to fire a barrage of arrows at Leonidas' forces. But the Spartans deflected that volley with their hoplon shields. Next, Xerxes sent in his infantry. These Persian soldiers had won many of their battles by smashing into their enemy and creating panic in the lines. But Leonidas' men didn't break, in part because the Spartans used a phalanx formation. The phalanx was 4 men deep and 8 men across, a literal human wall. At first, the massive numbers of Persian soldiers were winning against Leonidas' forces, but then the bronze wall of Spartans dug in and pushed back. Using their long spears to draw blood, the Spartans penetrated deep into the ranks of the Persians. Then, the swords came out. Slashing and stabbing, the Spartans left the Persians to die on the battlefield. More and more blood spilled as the Spartan machine moved forward, stepping over the dead and wounded. Realizing this was no regular enemy, the Persians retreated. In ancient times, warfare was brutal and intense, but the close clashes didn't usually last long, probably less than 1 minute each. During this one attack, however, the Greeks killed more than 1,000 Persians. On the second day of battle, Xerxes sent in the Immortals. But the Spartans only shouted war cries and taunted the enemy to come closer. When the Immortals finally struck, the Spartans held their ground, using their short swords for close combat killing. The Immortals who survived this fight had to stumble back to camp over thousands of dead bodies. Spartan battles were terrifying. Soldiers were sometimes given rations of wine before the battle broke out because so many soldiers would die or become disfigured. With that high casualty rate, the Spartans invented an early version of dog tags. Before the battle, soldiers would snap a twig and leave one half in camp and tie the other half to their wrist. If a soldier died on the battlefield, his fellow soldiers could remove the wrist twig, bring it back to camp, and match it to the other half to identify him. At Thermopylae, the outnumbered Spartans were winning. But on the battle's third day, a Greek trader reached Xerxes and told the Persian king about another route into Athens. It was a little-known goat path that went around Thermopylae. Now, Xerxes could move his forces around the Spartans and sneak up from behind. From the beginning of this battle, Leonidas may have realized it was a suicide mission, one of those last stands.